Donald Trump's anti-media messages on Twitter and elsewhere have the effect of delegitimizing journalism among at least a portion of the American people. Whether he's doing it on purpose, whether he's just venting, the effect is the same. Now, journalism is also suffering from self-inflicted wounds, but many of the other wounds are coming from the words and actions of Trump and other elected officials. That's why reporters right now are worried about access to the next administration, but also, in a bigger picture way, about potentially profound threats against the Fourth Estate. We don't know what to expect, and that's why there's so much concern. So I honed in on that recently with RNC Chief Strategist Sean Spicer. Watch what he told me. Sean, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
There's been, of course, a lot of interest this weekend in this talk about Russia trying to influence the election. You've been challenging some of those press reports. Have relations ever been this strained between the media and your office, your press office at the RNC?
Well, I think that's a pretty generalized statement. I think there are certain outlets and certain reporters that have not done what I would consider due diligence in sourcing and reporting stories on a variety of things, but I'm not sure I'd paint that with the huge brush, but there's definitely a good number of them.
I've heard you say that the Democrats and the media were rooting for Clinton to win the election a month ago. They thought she was going to win the election, and you've cited that as examples of media bias. So it seemed to me you would think there's been pretty systemic media bias recently.
I don't think recently. I think it's been very long-standing. I don't think it's any breaking news that a good majority of the members of the media, tend to lean left.
The reason I'm asking is I'm trying to get a sense of what you're expecting from the next president, from President-elect Trump's tone, from his tweets. I get the sense that he's going to be just as hostile toward the media as president as he was as a candidate. Have you talked to him about maybe changing or moderating his approach when it comes to the media?
That's a great question. And again, I think it's a rather big brush. I mean, there's a lot of folks, he does a lot of interviews and speaks with folks, so it's not everyone, but I think we understand from the president-elect down that the media is a healthy part of our democracy, but we also, as much as the press has a right to, as much as there's a right to a free press, there's also a right to free speech. And so when a reporter reports something false or incomplete, we have equal right to go back and make sure the record's corrected. One of the really unique things about Donald Trump, among many, is that the number of people that follow him on social media give him a direct voice to the American people. And that's something that no one has ever seen before. And so I think, frankly, there's actually a little bit of frustration in the media as well, that he's able to go around them and have a direct conversation with the American people and express himself, correct stories, get his point of view out. And it's something that frankly, no one's ever seen before. He'll continue to do that as president, but again, I think that it's not a mutually exclusive proposition. We understand the press is a healthy part of our democracy. They have a job obligation to make sure that we call out those falsehoods.
I'm happy to hear you talk about the healthy part of democracy because, you and I both know the Obama administration has had some blemishes when it comes to its record on press freedom. It's going to clamp down on press freedoms. Are you in a position to commit, or can the president-elect commit to upholding the same levels that the President Obama administration did with regards to First Amendment protections?
I'm really not sure what you mean. I mean, the First Amendment allows people to cover and write whatever they want, and I haven't seen, even within the Obama administration, frankly, anyone prohibiting somebody from writing something. So I think that's a bit extreme.
During the campaign, President-elect Trump kicked some journalists out of rallies by revoking their press credentials. There's also been concern during the Obama administration of prosecutions of journalists to find out their sources. I guess I'm wondering, do you expect things to be worse in a President Trump administration than they have been in a President Obama administration?
No, I don't. I mean, again, I think that there's a general respect for the place that the press and the media plays in our democracy. But again, I also think that that's not unfettered. The president-elect, as everybody, frankly, in this country, has a right to make sure that the stories are correct, that they push back, that their side of a story is out there, that they communicate effectively and freely as well. So it's not a one-sided proposition. I think that's where a lot of the folks in the media get it wrong. They think they can write whatever they want with impunity. But I think that one of the things that Donald Trump in particular has shown is that he has a voice and a mechanism and a channel to speak directly to the American people, and he's going to continue to do that.
Does that sometimes mean going around you, Sean, going around Jason Miller, going around the press shop of the Trump Does it sometimes frustrate you when he tweets unexpectedly?
It's not, you can't go around when you're the boss. Others on the team is to do and to implement and to help him get his message out as he directs. So it is he who tells us what to do, not the other way around.
For sure. I wonder if there's moments where you look at your phone and say, I can't believe he just posted that on Twitter. It might make your job harder.
Oh, look, I think there's never a boring day working around and for President-elect Trump. But that's what, I mean, it is never boring. It's always exciting. But that's why he's so authentic. That's why he won. Because he's real. He's authentic. He speaks from the heart. He has an understanding of where the American people's thoughts and concerns and frustrations are. And he speaks directly to it. And look, I've never seen a finer and more effective communicator in my entire life. Love him or not, vote for him or not, you got to give it to him. He knows how to get a message out better than anybody that we've ever seen in our lifetime and probably ever will.
Sean, thanks so much.
You bet, Brian.
I think Spicer is right about that last point. After the break here, Jill Edmondson back with more her perspective on standing up for the press in this moment. We'll be right back.